Okay, welcome everyone. I'd like to share with the group about the my time here in Italy so far and share as much information as possible for people to feel invited and also a part of the goings on, um, and especially to consider about uh, getting more involved if they feel inspired to do so, in whatever way they may feel inspired to do so. So I arrived in. Well, let me talk about the general Thabarwa group in Italy first. So Sierra came to Europe a few years ago before COVID, and basically he met with the right people. And of course, one of the other Western monastics in our tradition is a Siale Kema. So she's a Swiss Italian nun, and she helped this trip to Europe. So he was able to meet certain people that were interested enough in his teachings and his organizations to start I don't know what it's called in Italy, but a foundation, a board of directors um, here in Italy. And so two centers were developed, one in the north, which was primarily run by a lay woman named Dani, so someone who's not a monastic. And she specializes in the field of psychology and a long-term meditator. And the southern center was under the guidance or the direction of my monastic sister, Siale Kema. And the centers have been going on for a few years. Siale Kema has been the main person responsible and living here in the south. And her stay kind of started during COVID, so it was quite an isolated time and difficult to develop. I arrived in Milan, I don't know, about a week ago, and I stayed for 3 days at a really lovely Tibetan Buddhist temple in Milan. And I have just arrived here in the south after staying for a few days in the northern Thabarwa Center. So the center there is well funded and well managed. Um, they have a program there for volunteers and people to live there as residents. And they also have a program there for kind of an alternative for people who have been institutionalized. So some people who would otherwise be staying at some kind of psychiatric community or center are able to live at this kind of beautiful meditation center in the mountains, mountainous area, practice meditation, learn about the Dhamma, and it's a really lovely community there. There has been some lack of good communication between the northern and the southern centers over the past few years, maybe difference in direction or just difference in mindset. And so the centers have been kind of split for the past few years, with Siale Kema being the main responsible person here in the south. And she has recently decided to kind of step back from staying here and from managing the center, which was very difficult, especially during COVID, not having a lot of people involved and being responsible for the monetary needs and also some of the legalistic needs of the center. And from what I understand, it was overwhelming and difficult. So I was able to have a few meetings with Dani, who's the director of Thabarwa in Italy, the legally responsible person. And she was very open to collaborating and cooperating. I told her about our community and really my vision and my view for the Thabarwa Center here in the South, and she shared a similar view in terms of developing it as a meditation center and it being a real hub for Thabarwa in Italy and for Western people around the world. So today I arrived here in Thabarwa Center Cinque Fronde, and it's a very beautiful area. The accommodations here are very nice. The building is very nice. And there are right now two people here. So one is a French woman who's a long-term meditator. She was with Plum Village for 10 years. And another is a Burmese man who just came here from Thabarwa, LA, or Thabarwa, USA, came here to support and help out. He'll be here till April. So as you can see, I'm covering myself in a big blanket, and it is very cold here. And this coldness kind of points to the situation in the southern center, where certain care has not yet been taken, certain development has not been taken on, and even though the facilities are very nice and very suitable for meditation retreat center for the long term, there's a little bit of work to be done. And the main projects or the main needs of the center right now, because if we have monks living here at the center who want to do Dhamma talks and meetings, and anyone who wants to be here, it's a little bit difficult if the whole place is freezing cold. So the main project right now, and of course some people know that I started a fundraiser for this center for $20,000, which we've raised about 500 so far, which is great. But the main needs of the center, other than volunteers and people who want to stay here and be involved and take care and just make this a home for our community, for the Western community of meditators and people who are concerned with Thabarwa. The main projects we have here is one, replacing the windows. So the windows here are not insulated. They're traditional windows, and they do not hold in heat very well. So that's one thing, the windows in the center. The other is just having the funds and the responsible people involved so that we can use the heating system, so that we can use hot water, which is gas and electric, and the infrastructure is kind of there. I don't think there's any problems with our heating system or like we have some hot water heaters, things like that, but the long-term funds and the long-term investment in the space is not quite there yet. And of course, if you don't have insulated windows, proper windows, then whatever heat you do generate is going to go out. Yeah, those are the main points, I suppose, for the fundraiser right now. We need to replace these windows, and we need general funds so that it is comfortable and for sure that we can use the heating system and that we can take care of the center for the long term. Now, one point is that unless we have more people from our side, that and that means people who are interested in Thabarwa Sayadaw's teachings and in my teachings, in my sharings, and in the development of a center in the way that would be most beautiful and lovely for us, is that we've got a period of time right now where people can show up and get involved and take responsibility, but as time goes by, it may be that the center becomes more focused on like helping people with psychiatric care or needs, and that's great. But unless we have more people to take responsibility and get involved soon, then that may be the primary point of the center, and it may be have less of both sides in it. So um, that's what I'm working with right now, and I invite some questions and sharings from the group. We're live on YouTube, so maybe some people will watch later. Maybe they'll have some questions or some points. And of course, here on the Discord, I'd love to hear from all of you. Thank you.
Bante, uh, I have to listen more to understand everything because sometimes you're explaining things in English and I don't understand. So, it makes me a little bit more complicated to participate, but I will listen, and when I can understand everything, I will uh, I will be more active. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sonia.
A question. Um, so when you're saying like money stuff for the heating, is that to pay for like the utilities of a system that they already have over there?
Yeah, that's what I'm. So I'll get more details as the days go by, and as I talk more with the responsible people, mainly this woman Donnie, who I met with in the north. But basically, we want to get a some degree of funds so that we can have the openness about using the utilities, because in the past, even though we've had access to um, we've had access to like hot water, we've had a hot water heater, or we've had access to this heating system that was installed that's, I think, is a good heating system. There's always been this feeling of scarcity, and so we want to kind of step in a certain way where we can resolve that scarcity, even if it's just for a few months, and then we set up kind of the framework for our involvement in the space for the long term as well. And that's also in my mind, that because I'll be here for a few months and I'm inviting members of our community to come, and from my understanding, quite a few people will come, and so getting down that initial investment, and we'll find out, is that a bank account, is that a particular place, um, so that'll be taken care of, and we can feel open to use the facilities that are here, and then also the managing people, the legally responsible people here in Italy, they that will be known to them as well. So moving forward, we won't just be guests; we'll be people who are responsible. Is that clear?
I see. And
Yeah.
then the other question I had was with you said something about psychiatric care. What do you know any more details about that? Is there like actual medical people that run that kind of program, but run it out of
Yeah.
the center, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
that's right. I don't have the full details because, of course, it is in Italian, right? The situation is an Italian situation, but it is a legally, it is a legal model. They're working with the government, they're working with psychiatric institutions. I believe it may have been today or tomorrow that they'll actually be having some of these doctors or responsible people from the like psychiatric medical side on. Um, from Italy to go to the Northern Center and meet with Donnie there, and kind of move things forward even more. They have this. They're getting support from the government. They're getting support from the institutions in some way. I don't know all the fine details of it. So one one way moving forward is that she's going to take full responsibility for the center here, and then it may be, like primarily a place for that. And the center up north is also open, so there's volunteers, people, different people can go and stay there, but it's a little bit closed in some ways, and I'm not looking to restrict that from being here, but more so that to emphasize the open side, the international side, the volunteer side, here at the Southern Center, so that even if that does move forward, where the center also gets into that program, that we also have the more open and volunteering side, which is more in line with Tabarwa, more in line with like the main center in Myanmar.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it kind of sounds like they're doing like a combination of psychiatric stuff and like Buddhist
That's
philosophy
right.
mixed together or
That's
something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Mm, I like the question from Nicole. I wanted to voice it. She asked in the chat if you accept supplies, like something to temporarily protect, isolate the windows, and like gifts and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's really the bigger, and in any meditation center, in any group, I mean, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have responsible people who are invested and involved with their heart and their way of communication through engaging through projects, through materials, all those different things, then that then it doesn't matter how much money you have. It will just become whatever, whoever is there makes it to be. But yeah, we could definitely do that and look at plastic insulation on the windows. I'll probably do that here in this is the room where the monastics stay, and cover up the windows. Um, yeah, that's a good way to do it. Uh, but we also want to be able to open the windows and experience the fresh air. Go ahead, Lauren.
Uh, yes, thank you, Ponte. Excuse me. I heard that you had mentioned that you had started some fundraising. I was wondering if that's something that we can share through social media in our own communities so that we can get that moved out so it could be broadcast more. And then also, I was wondering, I don't know, I know everybody has different feelings about Amazon as a corporation, but they do have wish lists. Would it be possible for you to establish a wish list that could include items that could be helpful for the monastics and other people staying that would have needs that people could help fulfill? Perhaps they don't have a lot of money to contribute, to the heating issues, which are important, but also that would help with providing extra blankets or extra supplies for folks who can give smaller amounts, and they would give them a way to contribute. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean that's all good. The fundraiser that I set up through PayPal, I was originally just going to try and raise 10,000, but PayPal said, do gave me a prompt to do 20, so I set that up. I'm I'm a very ad hoc person. I'm not a fundraiser. I've never been. I guess I suppose I won't say that I'm not intelligent, but I've never been someone to do much homework. So the fundraiser is definitely needs a lot of extra care that I'm not used to giving. Used to setting up that kind of formatting. We definitely have. We've got a lot of blankets. We've got materials here. We've got robes. We've got curtains. I don't want to bring up a sense of scarcity because that's actually one of the issues that I think the center has had in the past, is that there's this sense of scarcity, and then acting from that sense of scarcity, you may make decisions that are not wise or are not for the long term.
Correct. Yes.
So of course, you know, any kind of offering or donation, especially if it's monthly, even if it's small, is definitely helpful.
Okay.
In whatever way you feel inspired to do that, and um, you can support me directly in that way, but we can also look at this, and I'll be here at the center for the next few months. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, we can also look at how to invest or involve in the center for the longer term, which is really for me, I'm very inspired by it right now. I see this space and I've been here. This is my third time being here, and it's just wonderful. It's beautiful. It's ideal. Yeah, I think you maybe saw some of the pictures that I took recently. So
Yes.
I'm really wanting to see how um, we can become more responsible for this center here. This is our um, one of two European centers that Thabarwa has, and that's a stepping stone for sure our community developing, but also for just Thabarwa in the West and the European community of Thabarwa.
Understood. And I certainly don't want to take time from other people. So I would just be glad to offer. I have some experience with fundraising. And if you'd like, I could speak with you more in depth at a more appropriate time. I would be glad to help with you. We help you with that if you're interested in that. So I just wanted to make that offer, and then I'll step out because I don't want to keep anyone else from having an opportunity to contribute
Yeah,
today.
that's perfect. That's wonderful. So we
Okay.
can talk more about that, and a lot of this work is um, ad hoc. So I even our trying to start a nonprofit in the U.S. because a lot of our members are based there, or um, you know getting more responsible with it for this center. It's just a lot of it's very energetic. It's very much in the spirit of generosity, and um, if well, I'm not Italian, so I will be limited in terms of how responsible I can be legally here. But I can tell you that this is a very important place for me, a very special place for me, this Southern Italy Center, and that I have the support of my teacher, and that we're ready to receive people to come and stay here for 3 months or as long as they can according to their visas, and develop the place and be responsible for it. And that those people have certainly will have my support and will have my teacher's support as well. It's um, maybe most things are like charities and nonprofits and fundraisers and all this tend to be more systematic, and there's a lot of positive points to that, but there's also a lot of unnecessary baggage that goes along with that, and just doing this through trust and communication and really showing up, to make use of it and to enjoy it is is what I'm more skillful at. So that's the side that I can offer. I'm not contacting a lawyer or trying to do paperwork to create a nonprofit in the U.S., even though I think it would be a good step. Just sharing the aspiration and sharing the heart and the presence. Um, continue devoting myself to this work and this path.
Yeah, I understand that completely. And the other thing that I heard you saying is, the importance of.
It's a little bit cold, um, but it's not too bad. And of course, in the spring and the summer, it's very idealistic, which is maybe why it's been that heating issue or the cold issue has been tabled for some time. Also,
Oh, that's if you were.
CLA Kema, who's the main person responsible for the center, and maybe will become again. I'm not sure, but at least for now, she stepped back, quite fully. Is she's very ascetic. She's been trained in ascetic practices, so she's carried that spirit and that energy with her quite a bit in being the main person responsible for the center, and that's led to the kind of cold not being taken care of as of yet. But for Western people, there are certain standard and basic needs, and most people haven't really received ascetic training. So it will be difficult for them to feel like a home in a place that doesn't have a heating source and gets quite cold and has windows that aren't insulated.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I partially heard you say something about that earlier. I'm sort of at work right now, so I'm bouncing in and out.
Yang Li, did you want to say something? If you're speaking, it's not coming through. And yeah, anyone who would like to come and visit the monastery, who would like to come here, right now, I am the responsible person on the ground. I'm the person that's here and responsible. So, and I've just had a couple of meetings with the director of our group, the legally responsible person in our group, Thabarwa in Italy. And I have their support, and I've informed them about bringing some of our community to come and practice here and be here. So if you'd like to come, you can come. But of course, it would make sense to have a call first. So send me a message here on Discord, send me an email, whatever way you can reach me. Let's have a call, and love to have you here for even just a few days. We have space, we have accommodations. We don't have much food, but we go alms round when we have the monastic here. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., we will go to the farmer's market, and we'll receive alms. We'll receive what people donate to us, and then that's what we will eat. So yeah, I love in the next few months, as many people in our Sangha, in our community, have the good conditions to come to Italy and visit and practice some meditation and see the area. I'll be very happy to see you and meet you. And, to be able to talk in person and share about what you're interested in, concerned with Thabarwa and concerned with our group. It's one thing to talk about things, online, but it's another to be face to face and really feel someone's presence and share your experience with them. So please do feel welcome.
Hey, Bante, you may have already explained, but is Thabarwa a new school of Buddhism, or is it existing, and what lineage does it fall under?
Thabarwa is a organization founded by Sayadaw Ashin Otamasara. Sayadaw Otamasara is my teacher, my master, and has been for some years. I've been in dependence under him, and he is one of the well-known meditation master in Myanmar. He is also one of the well-known monk for social work and public works in Myanmar. This is Theravada Buddhism. This is traditional Buddhism going back to the time of the Buddha. This is Buddhist monasticism stemming from the three main countries, Myanmar, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. So it is not a new school of Buddhism. It is about as old a school of Buddhism as you can get.
Got it. Thank you.
If we have any questions on YouTube, feel free to type them down and I'll get to them when there's some space. It's a very exciting opportunity, and we want to get more Western people involved with our group, because up to now, the main supporters and funders of the Sangha and all the endeavors of the Sangha, whether it's in public works or supporting people to become monks and nuns or yogis or volunteers or to continue being monks and nuns, has mostly fell on the shoulders of the Asian community. And there are many, many positive points to the Asian community, but there are also many, many positive points to the Western community. So we want to firm up and deepen this foundation and these roots of collaboration and communication so that we can develop for the long term and in a limitless way. And this development can take all kinds of different forms, but it especially takes the form of developing meditation centers and places where people who want to be monks or nuns or want to practice meditation seriously or who want to volunteer seriously can have their requisites met, right? Can have food and shelter and clothing and what's needed to do their work. So that is very much an exciting endeavor to be a part of.
Dante, you might have said this earlier, but what city is it in?
So right now I am in Cinque Grande, which is a city, or more better called a village, in the region of Reggio Calabria in southern Italy. And yeah, I can share the location in the announcements channel as well, or in the open discussion channel. Piazza della Repubblica. So we're right in the city center, the village center. And housing or room and board is separated by gender and also by being a monastic. So monastics, male or female monastics, stay in a particular place, and male or female lay people stay in a particular place, and we have the good conditions for that. Okay, I'll put in the open discussion channel the location of our center.
Thank you, Bante.
Yeah, welcome Eris Von Ophelia, and welcome Anushka and Caroline. Hi there.
Hi, Bante.
Are you coming to Italy, Caroline?
I will not be coming to Italy.
Well, never say
At
never,
least not
right?
in the next year.
Never say, yeah, maybe not in the next year.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
not tomorrow though.
yeah, of course. But Italy is a beautiful country, so if anyone does have the good conditions to come here, I recommend it. But watch your waistband, because the food here is very delicious. There's a lot there's a lot of it. So be careful if you come here.
My grandparents are from Abruzzo. I don't know how far away that is from you, though.
Hmm. And while I am very inspired and concerned with, and right now a responsible person for the Southern Thabarwa Center here in Italy, I will be here for a few months, and I hope, and I do believe that the opportunity will always be here for members of our community to come and stay here for the long or the short term, and to volunteer and enjoy the space. But I'm still young in the path, and my main priority is following Sayadaw, following my teacher, and continuing to cultivate in whatever place that may be. So, I'm not cementing myself here in Italy. Not that I could, only 3-month visa for Americans right now, or visa exempt. But I think that this is a very strong point for our community to engage in and with and get benefit from. So that's why I share about it so consistently. But if anyone has questions, Dhamma-related questions or points, please feel open to bring them up.
I have what might be kind of a silly question, I guess. I just don't know a lot about it. But with people that have passed away, can meditation bring us closer to that person?
I think so, but you have to try, Maybe you have a general sense of the closeness that you feel to that person, their spirit or their presence or their essence, right? now when you're not meditating. And if you do make the time and the space to be in silence, to sit quietly, to be with yourself, and then if you bring up that memory of that person, or your recognition of the part of them that is still with you, that is in you, if you feel closer.
I guess what always kind of bothers me is it seems like two-way communication is not something that's really possible if they've been, reborn and what have you.
Well, I think the best communication is not really concerned with getting something back, or the most intimate communication. So we may have a loved one, maybe a grandmother or a grandfather, and at least for me, because I don't specialize in this, some monks do, they can speak much more about this, but for me, I think the most intimate way of communication is when I'm not trying to get anything back, to get feedback from that person, but rather just holding their hand and walking, just sitting and breathing with them, just seeing a beautiful landscape with them. And what Thich Nhat Hanh teaches is that if you sit, if you walk, if you go and put yourself in front of a beautiful landscape, a vast landscape, ocean, mountains, rivers, greenery, trees, then if you practice mindfulness at that time and invite them to be there with you, they truly can. Just in the same way that they would truly be with you if they were to be sitting right there, healthy and happy and at peace. So I would say try more of that, that you want to communicate, or you want to be with this person, or you want to share your presence with that person, and that mindfulness, whether it's mindful breathing or mindful seeing or mindful walking, is this way that you can do that. But it may be more to be with their essence or their nature, rather than having a kind of like a conversation with them. But our way of being is a conversation that we have with everyone, with the world, with ourselves, with all the different parts of ourselves.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, anyone question or want to share something? Share their experience?
I have so many questions about like rebirth and things like that. It's not really all that important. It's just a point of curiosity for me.
Well, if you are serious about questions related to rebirth from the Buddhist point of view, I would say try to find some talks, or even better, find maybe a monk in your area who specializes in that, in talking about that or explaining about that. But especially if you can go to YouTube and search for rebirth and Ajahn Brahm, or maybe Ajahn Sumedho or Thich Nhat Hanh, then you can get a lot of insight about that. But whatever rebirth is, it is not something intellectual. Karma, or a deep understanding of karma, and with rebirth as well, a deep understanding of rebirth from the Buddhist side comes from the deepest possible samadhi, and the strongest concentration you can imagine, the deepest relaxation you can imagine coming together, and from this place of just vast stability and depth and clarity, the Buddha realized the subtle truths about rebirth or karma. So only someone who is actually completely enlightened can understand karma completely, or understand rebirth completely. And it's karma and rebirth in Buddhism is not philosophical. It is experiential, and from that experience that the Buddha had, he taught about what it was, what it is. And then, we build philosophy around that. From my understanding, the self-experience that you are having now is not necessarily the same self-experience that you were having 1 year ago. So that this notion of a self, or a solid person, a real character, a real you, is not true. That's my understanding. That it appears to be true, but that in reality it is not. So that the you that you are right now is not the same you that existed 7 years ago, or even 10 minutes ago. And if it was, how would we verify that? How would we know that? Do we have a rewind button, or do we have a time machine that we can use to go do an examination? I think not. So what we can do is begin to examine or look particularly close at what is this self anyway, and not what is this self going to become, or what rebirth, what realm am I going to go into, or what realm or other people are in, but what is this thing, this experience that I call a self? What is this experience that I call someone? What is it? Where is it? Where is Simcha? And you look at that through examination. So is Simcha in your fingernails? Is Bhante in these fingernails? Doesn't seem like it. If I look at them, if I try to feel them, um, that doesn't seem like Bhante. How about my hand? Or more specifically, the skin on the hand? Is Bhante there? Where is Bhante? What is the self? What is this someone who's carrying around this story, this baggage, this karma? Where is it? What is it? We want the answer, right? We want the effect. But what is the cause of this idea in the first place? What is this self? What is the soul? I don't think it's fair to say, oh, my grandmother is just this image that I have in my mind, this story that I have in my mind, or even a feeling. I think it's deeper than that. I think that my grandmother is in me, that I am my grandmother's continuation. No grandmother, no me. And what is that me? I'm not sure about that. I'm not so confident about me or self. I'm curious about it. And so with that curiosity, looking into what's available to me currently, not looking into some theory or philosophy about rebirth or where spirits go, where ghosts go when they jump out of the body and float into space somewhere. But what is this? What is myself? And to listen to people that aren't telling you something to believe, but to listen to people that are telling you something to practice, and then to practice it. Otherwise, you aren't really listening to them. You're just listening to your idea of what they are saying. And some people make a lot of money in that. Right? Look at Joe Rogan. Look at all these different people who do podcasts and all these kinds of things. They're not telling you something to do. They're just telling you things to think about. So that's not what the Buddha taught. That's not what Buddhism is about, to give you things to think about. It is telling you about the truth and presenting opportunities to practice in such a way that you realize the truth. Now, I'm not the Buddha, I'm not enlightened, so I don't speak so precisely. I talk about different things, different endeavors and aspirations. So this way of not being so sure about what's going on, it doesn't need to excite or destabilize us. Rather, it's a very clear invitation to look deeply at this experience that we take for granted, to look deeply at this body that we neglect, that we don't look and attend to deeply. Face, the foot, the heel of the foot. What do you have to tell me? You're real, right? I mean, it's screaming, your body's screaming at you, and you just ignore it. Don't think about it. You say, oh, that's just, that's a crumpled up McDonald's can, Mountain Dew can. That's a dried out McDonald's fry in the back seat. I don't need to give my attention to that. Well, it's screaming at you. It is you. But what is you? We don't know. So we can be hanging out in this idea of not knowing, or we can practice not knowing by looking directly at this experience, by entering into direct experiencing. The foot, the heel of the foot, burning, yelling at me. Why don't you go away or something? And it's talking to you, it's listening to you. So be careful about how you speak and how you think. Because if we keep this like broadness of thinking, this openness of thinking, and everything's kind of, well, we'll think it through. Go and see a psychic. Go and see someone who makes something up to tell you something, and then you can think about that. And we don't want to be in that position, right? Because we want to know for ourselves. The Dhamma is to see for ourselves, to experience for ourselves, to come and see. So everything is inviting you to come and see, right? These feelings about loved ones that have recently passed away, it's an invitation. It's not something to think about. Are you the universe or not? Where did you come from if not from this universe? Where do you exist if not in a state of complete and total interbeing with everything? Everything, not something in particular, not someone in particular. These are just illusions. But if someone in particular is something you want to connect with more fully, then you connect. You be with, you walk with, you breathe with. You don't try to get them to write a book for you or explain things to you. You be with them. And the, explaining things and, can you do this? Can you do that? That begins to come from a place of generosity rather than a place of seeking. And it comes from a place of humbleness and openness, right? Be with me, talk to me, explain this to me. But we don't need an answer. We just need that presence. We just need to be heard. And so as we practice mindfulness more, as we listen to Dhamma talks more, then, of course, my grandmother is in me. Of course, my grandmother is the mountains, the oceans, and the rivers. My grandmother is everything. And of course, she can hear my voice. Of course, she can speak to me, whether her body is decomposed or not. But she doesn't speak to me in the language of movies or TV shows. This kind of directed, produced, written, scripted deal. She speaks to me in the voice of everything. She speaks to me in the burning in my heel. She speaks to me in beautiful songs that speak of grandmother spirit, Mother Earth. She speaks to me through my own voice. How could it be any other way besides this way? How could it be any other experience or any other truth besides this experience and this truth? How could it be? That is precisely what Thich Nhat Hanh meant by that. But if we aren't mindful, then we don't connect with the truth of that because we're just lost in the past and the future in our thinking, right? And connecting with that mindfulness, walking in mindfulness, breathing in the clouds, breathing in the air, right? Well, what kind of thought is that? What kind of story is that? It's not a thought or a story. It's connection, it's interbeing, it's insight immediately. So rather than leaving our insight or leaving our mindfulness to seek after some, experience or some understanding, we invite those experiences, we invite those understandings to be with mindfulness so that they can be freed. And they may have something to say before they become, freed, before they are released. Invite your thoughts to be there in your practice of mindfulness, in your practice of mindful breathing, in your practice of mindful walking, mindful seeing the clouds. Just that moment. You have to value that moment, that instantaneous experience, before you can extend it. We learn how to value that moment, this moment, immediately. And we can leave, we can stay, we can do other things. But we value that instantaneous. No choosing, no decision, no after, no before, no beginning, no end, no inside, no outside, no separation, no discrimination. And then that moment opens. And then our mind opens to healing and to releasing, to being more wise, more clear, more free. A lot of the Buddhist tradition and school is about helping people who have a particular situation, mental situation, and they are not able to detach. They cannot detach, and it's difficult for them to, because they cannot detach from their mental situation, they cannot practice. So a lot of the Buddhist teachings are medicine for the ill. It's not about some, you know, rigid or solid construct, like this is the way that it is, this is the Buddhist Bible. But it's to give those people medicine for this wound so that they can walk. And I don't specialize in that relating to rebirth, but a lot of the Asian monks do. And this is the medicine that I can give, according to my understanding. But many people in the past were not educated. Many people in the past did not have much experience with logic. And they may have been raised in a culture of spirits and reincarnation for many generations. And so the Buddha knew that it was not important to create a new system or to teach them the logic of impermanence, but rather to give them medicine on the foot so that they can walk. And eventually, Impermanence knocks on your door enough times that you open it and you say, oh, all formations are impermanent. That is the way that it is. That is the way that it has always been. And that's deeper than logic. It's deeper than statistics. It's deeper than mathematics. AI can't even get a grasp on it. We, ourself, are the I, the someone, the solid, the collection of memory, of experience, can't grasp onto it, cannot understand it. So in trying to understand it, you may waste so much precious freedom, so much precious time. That time is better used for the path, for the practice, for the walking, for the breathing, for the loving, for the forgiving. You know, there's two ways to dissect the brain. One of them you definitely don't want to go through, and nobody here has ever gone through that. But the other is intellectual or psychological, where we're dissecting our psychology, we're dissecting our habit energies, we're dissecting our traumas and our confusions and our, the things that we get caught up in. Don't do that one either. The brain, the mind, this human experience is not to be dissected and cut up and examined, and it's just to be forgiven. It's just to be blessed. It's just to be opened, freed. It's just to be breathed. Okay, we'll leave it here for tonight. Oh, Abhi, go ahead.
Yeah, just some of the topics reminded me of a talk I had watched earlier this week that someone shared the channel by Ajahn Brahmali about right view. And so he was talking about this, and it was very helpful to me at this point he brought up. And he was talking about sort of not self and being able to let go of past regrets, and just see the situation as that we are conditioned beings, and whatever those things that happened in the past were just a result of that conditioning, to be able to let that go. But then also just the way he strung together karma with that, and cause and effect. It's just and even though we continue to be conditioned beings, and what we do is therefore influenced by that condition. It's not a matter of whether we're at fault for our actions or whatever. It's that our actions matter, and that's it. Even though the picture of what we might end up doing is it's much bigger than us, it's much wider than us. It's a result of, just conditioning, right? We're conditioned beings, and what we do is not sort of a result of of just this tiny self. It's a result of much bigger things. Just that part, that it's not about whether it's our fault. It's just that it matters what we do, not whether we are responsible for it. And so I just felt inspired to share that, because that was very, very insightful way of describing it that I found helpful.
Okay, well, we'll finish here, and thank you, Avi, for sharing that insight. It's very great. It's not that there's someone who's doing something, but that as they say, shit happens, and we've got to learn how to deal with that and keep moving forward, and not get burdened by all the shit. So, okay, why don't we finish with sharing of the merit and 3 sadhus? So everyone's invited to bring your hands together and repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now
May all the merits that we have done till now
be dedicated and shared out with limitless sentient beings.
Be dedicated and shared with all limitless.
May all beings rejoice and share in our merits.
May all beings share in our merits.
May it be, may it be, may it truly be.
May it be, may it be, may it truly be.
Sadhu. Sadhu. Sadhu.
Sadhu.
Okay. Thank you, friends. Be very well. Be very happy. See you soon.
Thank you.
That's all, folks.